Now we will discuss each type of insurance in detail. The first one is fire insurance policy. So what is the meaning of fire insurance policy? We have discussed that earlier. It means that agreement which covers the loss incurred by the insured, that is the policy holder, because of the fire accident according to a specified insurance policy. So the insurance company is going to compensate for the loss that the policy holder has incurred because of the fire accident. Alright, the goods will be covered. The loss caused to the policy holder due to fire accidents would be compensated to the insured after conducting appropriate examinations and enquiries. Fire insurance helps an individual, a shopkeeper or a business firm to rebuild its lost property or to restart its operations as usual which were halted due to unexpected accident, and provides enough financial support to the insured parties. So because of the fire accident, the business would have come to a standstill. So because there is insurance, the fire insurance company, they are going to come and compensate for that loss so that the business does not have to stop. They can continue with the money that they have received from the policy. Lack of fire insurance would lead to unexpected results to the society and industry. So if a factory is on fire, that entire business is coming to a standstill. The employees will lose their work, correct? So the damage that is caused is enormous. So because of that, if they have a fire insurance, then the business can continue to certain extent. They can recoup from their losses. Hence, risk involved in fire and allied perils are covered under fire insurance. Now, let us see the next point, that is features of fire insurance. First one is policy. The fire insurance involves a specific policy on which both the parties agree or enter into a contract. The policy duly states the procedure of premium payment and claim settlement. It also discloses the amount of loss which would be paid by the insurance company on occurrence of the fire. So the policy has all the terms and conditions which are mentioned, right? So the premium to be paid by the policy holder is mentioned, and what is the procedure for claim settlement is mentioned, what are the conditions for claim settlement is mentioned. Also, on occurrence of loss, what is the amount that they will be releasing to the policy holder, that also will be estimated and mentioned in the policy. Second point is lawful consideration. A fire insurance policy includes lawful consideration from the insured. The insured must duly pay the stated premium within time period. So the insurance company is obviously going to take up premium from the policy holder to secure them from any kind of loss from the fire accident. Material facts. In fire insurance policy, it is necessary to disclose all the material facts by both the parties, that is insurance company and the policy holder. So it is a two-way thing. Insurance company cannot hide that what are the risks that are not covered in the policy, and the policy holder also should not hide any kind of material facts. Something like, some electrical inspection has not taken place. If that has not taken place, there is a chance that there is a short circuit which can happen, and the factory may catch a fire. So details like this should be given to the insurance company while taking the contract. Fire insurance policy works on the principle of utmost good faith. Moving on to the next point, scope of fire insurance. Scope meaning what are all the things that can be covered in the fire insurance. The scope of fire insurance depends upon the nature of the policy selected. So based on the premium amount, the scope keeps changing. If your premium amount is lower, then the scope of the coverage also is lower. Scope of the fire insurance is going to be lower. And if the premium amount is higher, then the coverage also is going to be higher. That is, risk coverage is going to be higher. General fire insurance policies have limited scope to the insured, while special policies have a wider scope for the policy holders. The main requirements for a fire insurance policy for raising claim is as follows. The cause of the accident should be actual fire or ignition. The fire must be accidental and incidental but not intentional. That is, I shouldn't go and cause the fire. It should happen by accident. The property or goods showed damaged because of incident. So whatever goods I am claiming the compensation for, it should be because of the fire accident. The damage to those goods should have been because of the fire accident. Alright, I cannot show just some random goods which have been damaged earlier, and I cannot tell the insurance company that this was because of the fire accident. They will find out through investigation, right? Moving on to the next point, that is, now let us discuss about fire insurance contract. Earlier we have seen what is a fire insurance policy. Policy is nothing but a proof that insurance company and the insured have entered into a contract. What do we mean by contract? It means that the insurance company has to compensate for the loss which it has been agreed upon when the insured, that is the policy holder, has incurred loss because of fire. So it is a contract which is binding between the insurance company and the policy holder. What is the contract that the policy holder has agreed upon? That he will pay premiums. So this is the explanation for fire insurance contract. So what is the meaning? Fire insurance is a contract of indemnity in which the insurer is responsible to indemnify the insured against any financial loss or damage to the insured property due to fire caused directly any time in an agreed period of time. So meaning, if I have taken a fire insurance policy for a period of 1 year, and in this period of 1 year there was a fire accident and I have incurred losses, so the contract asks the insurance company to compensate for the loss which was incurred because of the fire. Alright, so indemnifying, meaning compensating for the loss which happened due to fire. So the contract, because of the contract, you can go and ask the insurance company to pay the losses. So insurable properties covered by fire insurance contracts or subject matter of fire insurance contract. Insurance can be taken for any movable or immovable property which have a pecuniary value, can be insured against fire. So most products which have pecuniary value, most important products, they can be taken, for them fire insurance can be taken. As fire insurance contracts are governed by tariff, the prop which is used, which is being insured, should be described accordingly. These include the following contents that are there in the policy which will be covered for in case of a fire accident. They are electrical installation in buildings, whatever are the electrical appliances in the buildings, that will be protected. Contents of the building such as machinery, plant and equipment, accessories, etc. So whatever the contents are there inside the building, so plant and machinery will be there in the building, accessories, other accessories to the building will be like lift, all that will be protected. And building itself, if the building itself is going to collapse because of the fire, then the building also, if it is damaged, then that is also going to be covered. Goods and stocks that are available in the premises. Moving on to the next point, goods, that is raw materials, work in progress, semi-finished goods, finished goods, packing materials in the factories and godowns. So if you are protecting your factory from fire accident, then the goods that are located in the factory are also going to be covered by the insurance company. Furniture, fixtures and fittings, pipelines situated inside or outside the compound, contents in dwellings, hotels, shops, etc. So basically, if you are going to take a fire insurance for a building, then it's going to cover the building and also the contents which are present inside the building. Alright, moving on to the next topic, that is principles of a fire insurance contract. The first principle, principle of indemnity. The aim of this principle is to put the insured in the same financial position to the maximum extent possible after the loss has occurred. So indemnification meaning bringing back the insured, that is the policy holder, to the same financial position. If the value of his goods were worth rupees 1 crore and they have been destroyed in fire, so this insured person, that is the policy holder, will be facing a loss of rupees 1 crore. So by indemnification, what is the insurance company doing? They are going to give him 1 crore rupees and bring him in the same financial position that he was in before the loss has occurred. Alright, only the price of the actual loss subject to the sum assured can be recovered by the insured. So there is something called as sum assured which is going to be mentioned in the policy. Maximum of rupees 1 crore if they mention, that is the sum assured. In case of any loss, they are going to give this sum assured to the insurance policy holder. Also, they are going to compare with what is the actual loss that has taken place. Let's say the policy sum assured is rupees 1 crore, but the loss that has actually taken place is only rupees 50 lakhs. Then the insurance company is not going to give full 1 crore to the insurance policy holder. They are going to give only an amount of rupees 50 lakhs. Why? Because that was the actual loss which has been incurred by the policy holder. Alright, next point is principle of insurable interest. The insurable interest should be present at the time of loss and also at the time of taking the contract of insurance. The insurable interest may arise in a contract of sale or purchase as it may be legal. So, what do we mean by insurable interest? Meaning, if the goods or the property is going to be damaged, who is going to face a loss? They need to have some kind of interest in the property. The following are believed to have insurable interest in the subject matter in the context of life insurance: trustee, owner, mortgager, executor, bailey, warehouseman, finder, tenants who are liable to pay rent after the fire, etc. So, who is going to be at a loss? So, if the house is at fire, the tenants who are living over there are going to face some loss, right? So, they are said to have insurable interest. However, the persons can insure up to an extent of limited interest. So, if your loss is just say a limited portion of the building belongs to you, to that extent only you are interested in the property, the other area you are not interested. So, you can insure up to the area which you are interested in, only let us say one floor of the building, you can limit your interest up to that also. Moving on to the next principle. So, the third principle is principle of good faith. Contracts of fire insurance are contracts of ubirime fide, that is a contract based on unconditional good faith. As per the principle, the insured should furnish full and detailed information of all the material facts possible to affect the fire officials' a judgment in deciding the premium rates, whether the proposal needs to be accepted or rejected. So, principles of good faith, meaning you have to mention what are all the material facts in the proposal document, so that the insurance officials will have an idea whether to accept the proposal or reject the proposal. If they are accepting, they need to decide on a premium amount to be fixed, right. So, if you do not disclose the material facts, the premium amount will vary. So, the decision of the insurance officials is also going to vary. So, principles of good faith shall be followed in case of fire insurance, not just in fire insurance, in any kind of insurance for that matter. Next principle is principle of causa proxima or loss through fire. In a fire insurance contract, the loss resulting from fire or some other related causes being the proximate cause of loss are covered. If the fire is caused by insured himself or with his assistance or by the operation of a peril specifically excluded under the policy, such as earthquake, loss will not be covered and the insurer will not be liable to indemnify the insured. So, what does this clause basically mean is, if the fire accident is caused by the insured himself, the policy holder has purposely put the building on fire, or he has assisted someone else to put the fire in the building, and upon his direction someone has acted upon, and also if there is some reason for causing the fire, that reason has been excluded from the fire insurance policy. For example, if there is some fire which has taken place as a result of an earthquake, then that is not covered in the fire insurance policy, then they are not going to compensate for the loss. The insurance company is not going to compensate for the loss if these incidents take place apart from an accident, that is purposely you are doing it, or some natural calamity, that is earthquake has caused the fire, they are not going to cover it. Moving on to the next principle, principles of subrogation and contribution. Fire insurance contract relies on the principles of subrogation, while it states that the insurer becomes entitled to claim all the rights of the insured after paying compensation against third parties who are responsible for the loss directly or indirectly. First of all, what do we mean by subrogation? Subrogation meaning compensating for the loss which has been caused by the third party. Now, this fire accident has been caused by my enemy. Let's say my business rival has purposely put my factory on fire. Now, I have insurance for the factory. I approach the insurance company. Insurance company has found out that this business rival, that is a third party, has put the factory on fire. So what is the insurance company going to do? They are going to compensate me for the loss, but at the same time they are going to go to the third party and ask him for compensation, or the third party's insurance company also they can approach and ask them for compensation. So what happens in this subrogation contracts? The rights of the insured, that is whoever was the policy holder, though his rights will be taken over by the insurance company. Why? Because they are compensating for the mistake of somebody else. So they are going to take the rights of the insured also. Fire insurance contracts are also governed by the principle of contribution, which states that where the subject matter has been insured by more than one insurer, every insurer has to meet the loss only ratably. So if my factory is actually very huge, so if I approach more than one insurance companies and I apply for insurance with more than one insurance company, I am paying premiums to many of them. So in case of a loss, only one insurance company is not going to bear the entire burden. This burden is going to be proportionately spread across all the insurance companies from which I have taken the policy. If the insured has paid more than his share of loss, he is entitled to recover the excess amount paid by him from his co-insurers. Yearly contract. A fire insurance policy is generally for 1 year and can be renewed from time to time. So this policy will be valid only for 1 year and you have to renew it every year. So that was about the principles of fire insurance contract. Thank you.